Hello guys, this is Sami. Welcome to TuteCode channel. Today in this video I'm going to discuss about closures. Closures basically a very useful feature in Swift. In this video we will discuss about closures, what type of closures we have in Swift, and what should we consider in using uh, in our language. So closures basically are the self-contained block that can be used in Swift, and there are two types of closures: escape closures and non-escape closures. In Swift, non-escape closures are by default. So what is the difference between escape closures and non-escape closures? Well, performance wise, non-escape closures are optimized and fast as compared to escape closures, and we will write some function who use closures. First of all, let's use built-in function provided by Swift. For example, we have an array counter which has some elements 4, 8, 9, 10, 10, 3. Now if we want to sort this array either in ascending order or in descending order, in Swift standard library we have a built-in function sorted, which accept param which accept closure as a param and perform operation and give array in ascending order or descending order. Let's try. This is a function value 1, value 2. Now we can decide here whether we want to sort the elements in ascending order or in descending order. If we print this function, if we print the array, it will show the values in sorted. Here we see in descending order 10, 9, 8, 4, 3. For ascending order 3, 4, 8, 9, 10. So this is the example of using built-in function provided by Swift library. We can also write a function which accepts closures. For example, function sum get sum. Now we will pass the values of array integer type. Now in second parameter we will accept as a closure. This is the syntax of defining closures in function definition. Now whatever operation we perform inside the function, like we some we perform the arithmetic operation, now after the after that we call the closure. In first bracket we define whether this closure accept parameter or not, and in second bracket, in this bracket we define whether this closure return values or not. So in this case we pass the values. It's nothing but just the self-contained block. What we are doing here is we are passing the method inside this get some function. Now if we call this function, first of all we pass the array of integer type, and then here we pass the method which accept parameter. After that we type in as a keyword. So if we print this value, it will print the total sum. Here we see that 3 plus 4 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 equals to 34. So this is an example of using closures in function, and this closure basically is as non-escape closures. In non-escape closures, whenever we call this whenever we use non-escape closure inside the function, it's executed within a body of the function, and when the compiler return from gets some function, then this closure will also be removed from the memory. Escape closures remains in memory, however, even when the function is ended. But non-escape closures does not remain in memory. They are removed with the function. And whenever we want to perform operation in synchronous manner, in that case we use non-escape closures. And whenever we want to perform some operations like server response, like download data from the server, such kind of operations are usually performed in asynchronous manner. So in that case we use escape closures. I have already written the example of escape closure. You can check it. So this is a method fetch data which takes two parameters, one parameter for URL in string data type, and the second one is escape closure. For writing closures in escape manner, we use escaping keyword. Okay, so inside the function, firstly we check the validity of URL. If URL is valid, then we hit the API, and wait for the server response. So in that case we use closure because we don't know uh, how much server is going to take for the response. So in that case, whenever this fetch data method is called, it holds the closures in memory until the response is received from the server. When the response is received from the server, it pass the data in closure. Here we are calling this function fetch data. In this method we pass the URL in string format and then we pass the method here. So when we receive the response from API, we call the completion block and then we get the response here. So escape closures can be called later, but non-escape closures are executed within a scope of the function. You can also check this by adding a print function, get some function and fetch data function and. So when we call this function get sum here, so it will first execute the closure and then print the get sum function and. But for escaping closures, when we call this fetch data function, it first call the print function and meanwhile it holds the closure in memory, and after the response it called the completion block. Let's check the log. Here we see that in first method it print this value 34 and then print the function, but for second method it print this line first and then closure is called later. So that's the difference between escape closures and non-escape closures. Well, in this example I have shown you how we can use the closures inside method. We can also use closures as a property. So we should keep in our mind that closures are reference. So whenever we assign the closure to a property, to a variable or constant, that closure become escape closure. For example, let's create a class by the name of book. In this class we declare a property like page and we declare this property as a closure. Okay, and we write a function by the name of load, and inside this function we pass the closure. Let's declare another property of string data type. We assign XYZ. Remember, whenever we we use escape closures inside. So in that case, inside the body we must access the any property with self keyword. If we don't access this property uh, with self keyword, then compiler will throw an error. You can see that reference to the property content in closure requires explicit use of self to make capture semantic explicit. So we to remove error, to satisfy the compiler, we must use self keyword. Now when using closure in property, we should consider one thing, and that is we need to make sure whether whether the instance of book class is deallocated or not. We can check by declaring a property, declaring a instance variable. Now if we pass the nil to the instance of book class, there will be a problem, and that is this book class, the instance of this class is not deallocated properly. We can also check it by using dinit function, because whenever the class is deallocated, the dinit function is called. But in our case, let's check whether the dinit function is called or not. You see that dinit function is not called. It means that there is a problem in this class. So the problem is we are capturing the self.content inside the closure body. As this is escape closure, so we need to pass the weak self to fix this issue. Because if we don't use weak self in escape closures, it will create a retain cycle, and in that case the instance of book class will not be deallocated. So we have to capture self in weak reference to avoid retain cycle. So now after passing the nil to the instance variable of book class, we see that book dinit, this function is called. So this is a very important point in using closures in variable. So I hope you like this topic, which is very useful and we mostly use in our Swift language. So if you like my video, please subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends. In next video I will come with a new topic. Thank you.